That. Now we're awesome. Hey, how's it going? Scott Balkum here from Imagination Creation Films, and I'm pathetic. I just can't get a live stream going. But today or tonight or this evening, we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. Try something on a Wednesday evening. I've got one watcher, Jamie. Jamie, are you out there? I'm not sure he is. I'm not sure he's out there. Be dropping a lot of frames, though. Dropping a lot of frames. Tony Edwards from Sydney, Australia. Good evening, or howdy, as we like to say. How's everybody doing this evening? Finally got my live show. Hey, Preston. More advice for parents. Nice. How is everybody doing? How's Australia treating you? This has got to be morning. Or you're all the way around the clock. Yeah, it has to be morning, right? It's got to be like 7-ish Australia time. Y'all got a few time zones over there. Preston, there's no such thing as a wrong toy unless someone gives you a toy that is electronic and you can't remove the batteries. That's all I remember. Also, remember, any parent that gives you a drum set for your child, give them one for their child. Rock Vlogs, hey, Todd, how's it going? In the Poconos in Pennsylvania. How is everybody doing tonight? I am here to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. If you don't want to talk about anything, I'm going to talk about a couple of cool things like batteries, V-mount batteries, and this kind of like new thing that is really bright. Wow, that's something insane. I got this new Hive Wasp 100C. It's kind of cool. Kind of cool. You see what I mean? You see what I mean? Kind of cool. Digging it. We can talk about that. Noon 34. Oh, okay. You must be on, let's see, you're Sydney, so that's the bottom right, so I guess that advances the time a little bit. Yeah, that's cool. Talk about your transition from your full-time gig to your passion for film. Yeah, so I can do that. Full-time gig. Let me save that story for another day. And Preston, I'll tell you offline why. But the passion is there. It's a complicated story. I got to figure out how to properly bring that one out. Preston knows a little bit of the backstory. So what's everybody shooting? What's everybody doing these days? Rock Vlogs, you shooting some stuff? What are you shooting on? Well, not on, but what are you shooting? What's inspiring you? Just made a vid about the G7. Not sure if I should upload it. Tony, let me tell you. Coming from a guy who has that all the time in his brain, upload it. Upload it. No matter what you think, upload it. Because if you don't, you never will. And you'll always be in that mode. Should I have uploaded it? Man, I wish I'd have uploaded that. Upload it, move along. Upload it, move along. Learn something from it. Just get out there. I struggle with it every day. I've still got tons of videos that I have not. Preston can tell you, I came out there and shot some stuff while I was with him. I haven't released that yet because I'm like, I don't know. Upload it because you should. Where did my passion for my film come from? It came from my father, and it came from photography, really. My dad was a shutterbug all his life. He developed his own film. He did black and white. He did color. He shot his own wedding. That's kind of an odd one, not something people do, but I guess if you're a perfectionist, you would do that. And he upgraded his camera back in like 1981 to I think he was Canon 8E1 program, and he had an old 35 millimeter camera. I would run back there and get it, but that would be a little awkward, wouldn't it? Just like me leaving. Oh, I could do it. Is 4K video worth the investment, Bob? I will get to that question in just a minute. But he gave me his old camera, said, if you're going to do it, you're going to learn how to do it. And so he showed me every single thing to do, which my attention my attention span being what it was, I'm like, yeah. But then I started taking pictures, and that just totally just blew my mind that I could compose a shot, and it sucked, but I could compose it again and make it better. And then we could develop the photos. I mean, it was amazing. From there to film work, it really came from the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It was the movie that just blew me away with all the lights in there. I could not grasp how anybody could do that. And my father was like, well, you do it this way, you do it this way, you do it this way. Blah, blah. And that got me super excited. And off and on through the years up until now, been dabbling with it, but definitely moved more towards the full time. And that full time story is another story. Bob Petroni, is that right? Is 4K video worth the investment? It depends. It is an answer that we all love to give because we all laugh, because every time we ask that question, that's the response that we get. Is it worth it? Do you have a need for it? So are you doing this for yourself, or are you doing it professionally, or are you wanting to do it professionally? That kind of thing. If you're doing it for other people, are the other people asking you for 4K video? And if so, then it's probably worth it. If they're not asking for it, but you want to dabble in it, then you need to decide whether or not the feature set that you're going to gain from it is worth it. For instance, if you shoot 4K video, but you output to YouTube at HD, you're going to have a little bit better looking video to start with, but you have the ability to punch in on that video. You actually have 4 times the resolution of HD, which means you can actually do a digital zoom and not compromise the quality of it. Honestly, with your phone can shoot 4K. The Panasonic G7 that I talk about all the time, it shoots 4K, and it's as low as $500. Why wouldn't you want it? Unless you already have HD. And at that point, shoot what you got until you need the 4K, and then you could go ahead and jump into it. Hopefully that answers that. If not, come back to questions, and I will try to dig in just a little bit further. What aspect of the creative process do you connect with the most? Man, so that was Preston's question. I have a hard time. I am a then and now. So I could try to plan as much as possible, but when I get there and I see it and I start to build something visually while I'm looking at it, that's the creative process that I kind of love. I just trying to build something out of nothing. I enjoy scripted, I enjoy narrative work. I like going someplace and just trying to find a story and trying to tell it in such a way that other people not only understand what I saw, but they don't have to be there to connect with it. And that's the creativity that drives me. It's the love that I love to do. Is if I can tell that story in such a way that you got it, then I've done my job effectively, and my job is just to create. That's all I ever want to do. Hopefully, Preston, did that answer my question? your question of me, I don't know how well I did on that one. Tony, why don't you want to upload your video? I mean, G7 is a great camera. Put it out there. Bob, how was that answer for 4K for you? Is that worth it? Is there a big learning curve going from iMovie to Final Cut? Yeah, there is. And I would, if I can have like guest speakers on here, I would have Preston guest speak on here, because Preston just converted from Premiere to Final Cut Pro X. And it's a bit of a learning curve that he's well, struggling and working through, but several of my friends have now jumped to it just because they're tired of Adobe crashing, and there's been some other reasons. And the learning curve from iMovie, it is, from iMovie to Final Cut Pro X is not horrible because it's the same simple format. Where the learning curve comes in is the advanced features. And when you do that, there's a bit to learn. Coming from, say, like Adobe to it, then it's a much larger learning curve. So let me back up and say, from iMovie to Final Cut Pro X, it's not so bad. Like a dad, hey, how's it going? What's your thought on the A7 III? So I've obviously never touched it, but I have read quite a bit about it, and it is an exciting camera. It's got a great price point for it. I mean, it's basically the next generation of the A7 series in a low budget format or low budget price point. So in a lot of ways, it overlaps with, say, the A7R2 and the A7S2. It's not going to compete with the A7R3 or the soon to be introduced A7S3, but it's going to be on that playing field rather than the Series 2 playing field. So it can do some pretty cool stuff. Now the negative I would say to it, but I mean this is just me, is it only shoots 30 frames a second in 4K. I like cameras now that can shoot 60 frames in 4K. Ever since I got the GH5, and it's a tiny little camera you can carry around and shoot it, and even the iPhone X, 60 frames a second. I mean, slow motion makes everything just cooler. It just does. And when you're in 4K, it makes it's crisper and cleaner. I just like that, but I wouldn't kick it out. Not quite. Can't handle the bigger projects. Okay, pay attention to Preston there. Preston's a smart guy, and he kind of knows his stuff too. Good basic project group fell apart. Oh, whoops. Interesting. Yeah, I did Final Cut Pro. I bought what was it? I think it was was it $3,000 for the whole Final Cut Pro Studio? I bought that years and years ago, and I grew with it all the way up until Final Cut Pro X. And when it went to that single timeline, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. And so I converted over back to Adobe Premiere, which I had done previously before Final Cut Studio. Like a Dad moved from iMovie to Final Cut Pro last year. Like a Dad, what did you think of the transition? Was it fairly simple to go from iMovie to Final Cut Pro X? Tony, the G7 is a super camera and my first mirrorless, and I love it. I made the vid at 1 a.m. Well, let me ask you this, Tony. Are you going to remake it? If you're going to remake it, are you going to remake it in the next 24 hours? If not, upload it. Move along. That's the best way to do it. I think I will buy a 4K camera in my own. Bob says I think I'll buy a 4K camera. My old Sony video camera is close to retirement. Well, yeah. I mean, you might as well. If you are at the point where you're going to upgrade to a new camera, I mean, 4K is out there. It's readily available, and it's worth a little bit of money to spend up front. So yeah, go for it. Like a Dad, thanks. I pre-ordered one. Will be my perfect hybrid camera. Good for my YouTube vid and still take still for my family. Yep. Like a Dad still has the GH5, but we'll be using both. Yep. Tony says I have also used the Nikon D850. My first solo exhibition coming up on the 5th of May. I would say I'm more of a still shooter, but I'm definitely getting this video thing. Tony, I believe, Preston, don't you shoot with the 850? I think you do. You're a Nikon guy. I was a former Nikon guy. I had the Nikon D100 and then the D200, and then when the D300 came out and it was not full, fine, I'm going Canon, and I went Canon, and I have Canon lenses now, but now I'm a Sony and Panasonic. Stills, I shoot Sony. What is your goal with filmmaking? What are you reaching for? What I'm reaching for is to do what I love, which is filmmaking and is creating something, and make just enough money that my wife doesn't divorce me and that I can pay some bills, but I'm getting to do what I love. I mean, the big long-term career, I would love to make one of my movies I've mostly written. I've got a couple that are more in the sci-fi, more in the future realm, and I would love to make those come to reality. I don't know when I could. They're always one of those that you're like, well, if I do it now, I'll screw it up, and that's the procrastination in me. But I mean, honestly, just to be able to see something out there that people would enjoy, just brings a smile to my face. If I can make some money at it at the same time, that is doing what you love. And if you can do what you love, then you never work a day in your life. So that's my goal, is just to not work a day in my life. Just do this stuff. I love it. Transition is easy once Final Cut Pro X offers so much more. I moved from iMovie to iOS, then iMovie on Mac OS to Final Cut Pro X. I have previous experience with Premiere and After Effects, not pro level though. So Like a Dad says that the transition from iMovie to Final Cut Pro X would also be as well. Preston shoots with the 810s. Why are DSLR cameras limited to 30 minutes of recording time? That's a great question, and it all boils down to one simple thing, and that is the taxes in Europe. In Europe, what they have done, and I cannot tell you why, they have stuck a tax that goes on to any camera that can record more than 30 minutes. And it's a video camera tax. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense to me. So rather than pay the tax, which the manufacturer has to pay and then pass it along to you, they all limit their cameras to 29.9 minutes. I mean, it makes no sense to me why in the world Europe would tax video cameras differently than regular cameras. To me, it sounds like they need to revisit that, because I don't think it did what they intended. But that is why. Bob says, "Oh, that was your question." Tony, I'm uploading the video, and later you can tell me if I should have redone it. Send me a link, Tony. I'll happily watch it. Man, at least you're doing it. You're putting it out there. How's my live stream doing? Oh man, am I dropping frames like crazy? And it's tough at this time of the day. Everybody gets home from work and they just destroy the internet. So it says I'm dropping like 30% of my frames. Is the video that bad? I hope it isn't. I've been playing with it. What about picking one scene from your film and shoot that to start the process? Yeah, I've got one in mind, and it is one that I think I can pull off. And a friend of mine, Bill, has told me to do that as well. And I think that's probably what I'm going to do soon. The best part about it is the beginning scene really only requires one person. The beginning, say 5-10 minutes of the movie is just one person. I think I could do that. That's enough to get the idea out there. Maybe it's enough to kind of sell the concept and let people get interested in it as well. I will push forward with that, Preston. Thanks for the edge. What else is going on, people? It says I just keep dropping frames like crazy. That is so sad. Let's see if I can drop the stream rate a little bit here. I don't know what this will do, but maybe it'll help. It might make it higher compression, but yeah, we'll see. So, if y'all don't have anything to talk about, I want to talk about batteries, because I just shot a video. I'll be uploading that one tonight on a review on this guy right here. But basically, what I've learned is, and I've said this a couple times, buy something right. Buy it once and you buy it for life. And I have learned this over and over again the hard way. These are Dracast batteries. I cannot recommend these to anybody. But I spent a bunch of money on, well, actually they're pretty cheap. But I spent, at the time, a lot of money on them in the hopes that I would get some good quality batteries. They work, but they're 90 watt hours. Look at the size of these things. They're huge. They self-drain in a week. So after a week, if you haven't charged them back up, they're dead. They're useless. And so then I moved along to these Hypercores, which are Swittronics. They have now been rebranded as Core. And I bought these because I could travel with them. They're very small. They're kind of shallow, or they're not very deep, and they're not as tall as these Dracasts are. These are 75 watt hour. They're actually closer to about 72. They only power the red for about 35 to 40 minutes, maybe 45 sometimes. But I bought 6 of them to fly with because you can fly with these. But then I bought these blue shapes. And the blue shapes, I bought them because I watched somebody throw it up against a brick wall, and then they took it out of the brick wall and put it right on the camera, and it worked. So I bought 3 of these guys. These are 180s, and this 225 over here. They don't even make this one anymore, but it's gargantuan. This thing powers the red for over 3 hours. These will power them for about 2.5 hours. These things have been rock solid for almost 3 years. I mean, they've never let me down. They have dual P-taps on them. This company I absolutely love. They make a quality product. And now they have this little guy. This is the Granite Mini. It is tiny. Look at this. This is nothing. When you put it on the red, that is the other interesting thing. So you put a normal size battery up there, it kind of blocks up here on the top. It's really tall. You put the Mini on there, and it's almost flush. It is rather amazing. This is a 140 watt hour battery. This is a 180. They weigh practically the same. This one is ever so slightly lighter, but I mean, this is amazing. The other cool thing with this battery, it has Wi-Fi. So you can connect to it with your phone and see the state of the charge. You can adjust a few things. You can see what each cell is doing. It's rather amazing. And these are finally available in quantity. You can now buy them. They've got a gold mount with a 3-stud coming out really, really soon. But I mean, if you're looking for V-mount batteries, these are the king. If you're shooting mirrorless or DSLR, don't sweat it. At some point, you're going to move into some bigger batteries, and man, it's just worth it. So that's what I kind of wanted to talk about on the front, just because I mean, I just love that company, Blue Shape. They're just such a good company. They stand behind their product. I mean, that's really what you're looking for when you're looking for a battery. Anybody got any questions on batteries? I've got quite a few. I'm going to be selling some of these. I won't sell these Dracasts. I wouldn't do that to anybody. Let's see here. Oh, really? Oh, man, it is. If you had to define an ideal client, who would they be? Preston asks, if I had to define, and man, I don't want to drop these frames. Let me. I'm gonna stop the stream real quick, and I'm gonna start it right back up. Okay. Should be coming back. Should be coming back. Should be coming back. Is it coming back? Is it coming back? Is it coming back? Tell me it's coming back. And it's back. Okay. I should be back. Oh my God, I'm dropping like crazy. Well, it's getting better. It's getting better. Okay. Yeah, I needed to adjust because everybody's on the internet. Okay, so if I had to define the ideal client, who would they be? So do you want me to define the type of company they would be, or just the experience? I'll answer them both the best I can. For the experience, the best client I could come up with is for them to say, here's our product. this is what we have. We need you to tell us how to make this look amazing for this customer base. And here's our customer base. They are this age. They live in this part of the world. They drive this kind of car, what have you. And with their ideas, I mean, it's their product. They're going to have ideas of where it goes, but to let me kind of drive the vision a little bit. I mean, it's more of a control thing. It's if they want me to do that, but I mean, ideally, I would love to work for clients that say, "Hey, here's my product. Get it out there and show everybody how cool it is in whatever way you can." I think that would be one of the best clients out there because you're getting to be fully creative. The other way would be, I mean, an ideal. I think I would like to work with small brands. I mean, I would love to shoot a car commercial with a major brand. I mean, that would be a lot of fun. Is that my ideal one? I don't think so. I'm not saying that to limit myself, but the bigger the company, the more lawyers they have, the more input they have, the slower everything goes. And I mean, the vision gets very defined at that point, and it's still creation and it's still fun, but it's not like creating something out of thin air. The smaller brands, I think would be a lot of fun. I mean, I don't even know what I'd define as a small brand, but a brand that doesn't have a lot of lawyers or doesn't have their own marketing team that's huge. It says, hey, we want to help get this. We want this product to get out there, and kind of wrapping it back to the creative experience of, can you help us get this out there in the best way? That's kind of the where I would like to be working with these clients, and I don't have very many right now, but soon. I keep getting the message that the stream is offline. Yeah, like it, Dad. I had to. Oh man. So it is. Man, it's dropping frames. Let me see if I kill this. Just 1 second. So let's see. Does that help any, or is it still? No, it's still dropping frames. Yeah. Okay. So I may be self-limited just by my internet connection. Sounds like I prefer client direct versus agency work. If you had to name one brand to exist today, what is that brand you would want to work with? Yeah, if I had shoot big. Honestly, if I had one brand to work with, and it's more around a person, but I would take any one of the subsidiaries that have been created, but Elon Musk. Pretty much everything he does is not necessarily magic. It is kind of magic, but it is so cutting edge and cool. That's something I would want to be tied with. SpaceX. I would flat out love. I don't know how you sell a satellite, but I bet I could figure out if just anything to do with space. I've always loved, but SpaceX, they just seem to be launching rockets left and right. They seem to understand how to do it. That's the kind of company I like to work with. Tesla, same thing. Their batteries, their home power, all of that. Even their new Hyperloop. That would be a fantastic company to work with as a brand. Tony, you have to get going. I look forward to catching up with you next live stream on Monday your time. Yep. Thanks, Tony. Peace out. How's man, I have really wanted these live streams to work out here, but I guess the time of day is always such a big problem. Are you getting to hear me at least, or is it just the video cutting out, or is it cutting out audio as well? That is unfortunate. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, I don't know if you, I can't really show it, but the Hive Lighting WASP 100C is a LED open face, full saturation, full color light. And it is kind of amazing. I got it yesterday. I've been playing with it quite a bit. It's really, really bright. Let me dim that down. So just keep in mind, there we go. That's yellow. That's daylight right there. So keep in mind, this right here is one light, and it is about, say, 7 feet from me. And it is lighting up the back, and I can't really see anything, and it is stared at that light. It is now at 36% brightness. And before I had two quasars, 4-foot tubes here, and a quasar 4-foot tube above me that I was using to light me here. So you can kind of get an idea how bright this is. But the cool thing about this light being RGB, and this is going to get super bright, sorry, but here's tungsten. Let me dim that down. That's not configured for tungsten balance, so it's going to be very yellow, which it happens to be. That's daylight. That's red. That's green, which is oddly not so green. The one color it can't do well is a very green. There's blue. Wow, that's blue. There's a dark red, more of an orange. Just kind of moving along. I mean, and it is wild. You can choose on this app. There's the RGB color space, so I can just choose whatever color I want. I can change the hue of it. I can change the saturation of it. I can change the dimming of it. And so I can create 16.7 million colors, or I can just say, give me 3,200 tungsten, or 3,000 tungsten, or give me a little more red in that tungsten, or daylight. But you know what? Let me have a little more blue. Let's cool that off a little bit. Let's go up to 7,000, but let's take out some magenta. You can do all of that all in here without any trouble. So this is a really, really cool light. They're $1,000. I'm going to be really excited to play with it. I've got some product shots that I want to do. I want to be playing with like blues and reds on the actual product themselves. And then the quasar lights, I want to, let me just do this. The quasar lights, I want to use to kind of hover a light over the actual products themselves to kind of create just a wave of light that comes across with a blue hue in the background or red. I think it'll look pretty cool. How's the filmmaking community in your area? Any filmmakers you hope to collaborate with? Yeah, Austin is pretty open. Filmmakers, there's quite a few people that I hang around with. My biggest problem with the community is I'm not in it. I live an hour out of anywhere. I am on the east side of Austin, an hour out. I live in the country, so there's nobody in this area. So I have to go all the way into Austin, which is an hour drive, to collaborate with people. And I've done it a few times. I know Joe. Yeah, Joe is he is right in the area, but he's an hour away. Joe is he's an amazing guy, and back when he had his downtown studio, I would go over there. It was pretty cool. Now he's got it in his backyard, and he's always on the road, so I don't get to hang out. But yeah, Joe is awesome. Jim Shields is out there. I enjoy working with him. There's quite a few in Austin area that I do a little bit with. There's a guy, he's not on here, but really? Did it just drop completely? No, it's not. Stream zoomed. Okay. Whew. Man. So this is dropping some more. There's a guy that does YouTube with shoes, and he and I have been collaborating on some stuff just because he's got a really good eye, and it's fun to kind of work with other people that have something different. Bob says, I enjoy viewing black and white photos. What do you think about shooting black and white video? I love it. I love black and white. It is actually one of my favorites because, you can you don't have to worry about color. It's quite nice. You know, the color of the light hitting your face doesn't really matter. So if you have a tungsten light or you have a daylight light, it's not going to show up any different other than brightness level on black and white. So it's kind of nice to be able to work in black and white. The other thing is black and white is I don't want to say nostalgic because I don't think of it as nostalgic, but it puts you in a mood when you're watching something in black and white. You get into a mood of, I don't know how to describe it, because some people would describe it as nostalgic. To me, nostalgic is just old looking. Black and white is not old looking. Black and white is black and white. So I love shooting in black and white. I like to do it a lot. It's fun, and it allows you to work with contrast. Your sole purpose there is light and contrast. It's not color. So hopefully that answers that. Am I dropping? Yeah, wow. That's sad. Yeah, I agree about the mood. Yeah, I mean it's fun. Red sells a monochrome only version of their sensor, and you could buy a whole red. I wouldn't buy one because I don't think I could get anywhere near the value out of it. I'll just shoot in color and desaturate it completely and then start working with it and making it look a little more black and white. I mean, with a true monochromatic sensor, you're going to get more accurate when it comes to shooting monochrome. And I'm sure people are using it because they make it. So, I mean, it'd be a lot of fun to shoot with one, though. What else is going out there, man? I cannot apologize enough for 60% of my frames being dropped, and I hope the information I'm saying is at least getting out, and I hope it's useful information. Video output low. The stream's current bit rate is lower than the recommended bit rate. Wow. Bit rate of 2,500. I wish I could. Wow, they're really not liking me. Ding. Anybody else got any questions out there? I talked about the Hive and the blue shape batteries. Been kind of cleaning up. Been working with the Movi Pro back there a lot lately. Just kind of building up my chops again. I took a small break from it. My back was not doing well. I got back into it and doing fine now. So it's getting snow in Rhode Island. See, man, I wish I had snow. I grew up mostly in Texas, but I spent many years in Nashville, and we used to get snow all the time back then. And I loved snow. There was nothing more beautiful to me than to watch large flakes just fall all the time. I didn't care about cabin fever. All I wanted to do was just sit there and watch those snowflakes. And to me, I wanted to have my red somewhere where it was pouring just giant snowflakes just falling, because I would just shoot that in slow motion all day long. There was a cool song by I think it's Sixpence None the Richer. Yeah, they did a song called "A Million Parachutes," and it's about snow. And the songwriter that wrote it was in his studio watching it snow, and just saw a million parachutes. And a million parachutes is exactly how snow makes me feel when I watch it. So, man, you should get out there and get some shots. Of course, it's night, so it probably wouldn't be as cool. But I mean, shoot some black and white of the snow. That looks cool too. Let's see. Anything else going on? I'm gonna end it at 1 hour tonight, just because I'm giving a very bad experience, and I don't want to do that. But anybody got any further questions before I end the live stream or anything like that? Going once, going. I know there's like a 10 or 15 second delay, and with 63% packet loss, it's probably more like 30-second delay. But yeah, if you aren't a subscriber, please do subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And also, I'm sure all of you are because you found the live stream. I do have a Patreon out there if anybody feels like contributing. I don't care either way, whichever is up to you. And yeah, feel free to watch all my videos and leave comments. And I'll just leave it with the motto that I kind of live by, and that is, don't let your passion center around your life. Let your life center around your passions.